Nerd On the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Must be nice.
I thought of you too.
He was like, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, and where all levels of nerd are welcome, no matter how powerful of a superhero you may or may not be.
The most powerful.
Most powerful. So today, one small step for shows, another step in the future of the superhero genre. Today, we are going to unpack and discuss the Amazon Prime Video animated series that is filled with spoilers by even mentioning anything of the plot here in the opening. So without further ado, our topic today is Season 1 of Invincible.
A little splatter.
Yeah. Spoiler. I think that was a tough thing, is that, like, man, you just can't talk. Like, that was like the hard show. You can't talk about anything with anybody.
You can't.
So much spoiler, everything.
Everything reveals something.
Yep.
And it's only season 1.
Yeah.
This is only the first season. Isn't there more? There's like way more.
But
Yeah.
Before we get into this juicy, blood-ridden discussion, let's introduce the host. I am Josh.
I'm Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
Corey.
And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get early access to these episodes, you get bonus episodes that nobody else hears, you get access to secret channels on our super public Discord server, you get so many fun things, like another thing, you get what we call the Nerd On Nudge, on our other weekly show, the Nerd On Update, in which we answer your questions first. So do check it out. It does help us to grow and to upgrade our content beyond, it's just a lot. It's really good stuff. So check it out, nerdon.tv/Patreon, and check out that Discord too, nerdon.tv/Discord. And a huge shout out to our partners in crime, Odyssey and Apogee. Odyssey, we have their wonderful LCD ones with us today, but we also use their Mobius, their 7.1 headphone, which is super fantastic. Check them out. Odyssey headphones. Like we say, if your ears were mouths, they taste like butter. They're that good. Check it out. And Apogee, we use their hype mic.
Taste it out.
But yeah, we use Apogee's hype mic. It's a wonderful microphone. Super versatile. Check it out. Apogee. And if you like what you hear today, do stop by, rate and review, share us with your friends and family. And one last piece of housekeeping. Over on that Nerd On Nation, we are super close to our next goal. When we reach that goal, the Nerd On Nation gets to pick a topic for one of our episodes. So, yeah. We're almost
so
there.
Excited that you'll burp. That's how excited I am. Get excited, swallow air, burp a little. It's that kind of excitement, everyone.
Do the thing. So yeah, check it out. That's the housekeeping. Let us get on with this Invincible episode.
Yeah.
I tried. It was bad.
Good.
I tried.
I had your
Just
back.
stay producing and hosting. That's fine. Just kidding.
You have one job, Josh.
And
that's not one of them.
Just one.
So if you're brand new to Nerd On, you wouldn't know about a typical first 2 segments of our show, which is typically a Guess That Grump. But
It's really hard not to sing along for that, just so you know.
But things happen. Life comes at you fast, baby.
Real fast.
Let me talk to this real quick.
Yeah, so take it away.
So Friday morning, our polls go out. And for those of you who don't know what our polls are, join the Nerd On Nation. You can take part in guessing who the grump is on every episode. And if you get it right, you get a shout out.
Hell yeah.
So Friday morning, it comes out.
What do they get called?
They get the call. Well, it depends on the episode, really. But they guess that grater, gumper, guesser, grass-fed, gluten-free.
Ogre girl.
Yeah, there you go. Grumper. Guesser. And so the poll went out, and a few hours later, it was announced that this show had been renewed for seasons 2 and 3. So we do not rate incomplete series. Yeah, Tom.
Which, to be fair, like we all should have known, but like it's just so normal that we want to include all of our wonderful people in the Nerd On Nation in our episodes.
Sure, and I even that week, the night before, because I did it the night before and put the poll out, or scheduled it, and I even looked it up. I was like, "Is it renewed yet?" No. Okay, so maybe it's a one and done. And then by the time I went to the poll to go take it down, we already had 8 to 9 votes. So. We're just going to shout out everyone who participated, so we don't feel like your vote was miscast or cast aside. No, your votes here, they are invincible. So
they
Dana
matter.
P, Kristen F, Mitchell G, Charlotte G, Daniel H, Brock P, Matt R, Noes, and General G. You all participated in this unparticipatory polling, and we appreciate that. So shout out to all of you on this episode.
I feel like I'm curious of where things sat before you.
Yeah, I wonder who they voted for.
Who is the potential?
It was pretty close, actually.
Not Josh for sure.
No, it was not Josh. I think it was between Caitlin and Tom.
Yeah,
Caitlin and me.
Right.
So it was between Caitlin and me.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
They don't pick us anymore, Josh. They just know
I'm
that
the new C on the Scantron, but again, we discussed why it's been
C's.
this way.
And then I'm just critical, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
But Caitlin and I were the voted grumps for this episode.
So with that, we're just going to go to the complete spoiler of it, typically, which happens after we guess the grump. And we're going to do our initial reactions and our first impressions.
Isn't this usually still spoiler free until we get into the favorite parts?
It usually is.
Well, it's a spoiler of the guesses that we did.
Got it.
So,
still spoiler free for the episode.
Still spoiler free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to
Corey, you wanna go
really
first?
spoil some things.
No, I don't.
Okay. I think Josh should go last.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
I'll go first. Invincible as a property, as a comic book, was introduced to me way back when I was in the Capus Crusaders, and David Barry was the one like pitching it to me. And he's all about that image life. And I think pre 2021, he was very like not about Superman. And he said this one is actually like a good, cool Superman story, if you were to think about it. Because everything that everyone who flies, has super speed and strength is a Superman clone. That's just sadly what happens in the zeitgeist.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a little unfair, and it's diminishing for those characters. Whatever growth or development they have is always going to be depicted as like, oh, well, this is
That's why he likes Swamp Thing. It's the total antithesis of Superman. Goes into
it's also
the ground.
That there's no one else that's like an analog to it. There's no Marvel version of Swamp Thing. There's no Image version of Swamp Thing. So I heard, I knew about this for a while. I knew it's Robert Kirkman, so I knew it had to be like pretty violent. It's no Garth Ennis. But that being said, watching the show, Amazon Prime, Amazon has no reason to be making like television or movies. They absolutely don't need to. And this is absolutely one of those, like, to me, it's like a vanity project of like, oh yeah, we have the money. Why don't we just make whatever we want? They're almost becoming like the new Annapurna in that way, where like they're just going to green light projects that typically wouldn't have seen success
like The Boys
anywhere
and
else.
Fleabag and this.
Yeah.
Very impressive catalog.
Like who would have thought, like, after everyone was like, Batman vs Superman's too dark and Marvel's perfect, that The Boys would have been a big hit, and The Boys was a big hit, or is a big hit. So it's cool to see, like, all right, well, let's see what they got. And for something being an animated TV show, I really loved this show. I think you definitely see like some of the freshman hang-ups, I guess, for it being like one of their first shows or first season for an animated series, but it's hard to deny that the cast is like really well directed, and they perform well. And it just hits on a level of expectation that the current audience who probably aren't aware of what Image comic books are like would see subverted, their expectations subverted, and it's like, oh wow. But no, I really enjoyed it. I found enjoyment through every episode. I didn't start at the very beginning. I binged through the first 4 episodes, and then I went week to week. So it was kind of like, cool, let me catch up. And it was very easy to catch up too. So yeah, I enjoy, and I look forward to seeing what's going to happen in the next few seasons. And I'm really glad of where they put the cliffhangers or the end of episodes, because I was like, are they gonna? Oh, they do. Okay, not bad. I'm sorry. Because yeah, it almost feels like a very, very very well done, page to picture adaptation. Like in that sense of like, it feels like it's seamless. It feels like it was meant for this, and it's not adapted from anything else. So that's me.
Kaylin?
Yeah. So this was an experience because my normal thing, I'm
is
not
living under a rock.
Wow. Not at all what I was going to say. Thanks for that. I was going to say superhero stuff is not really my cup of tea. I don't search this stuff out. I'm a little superhero fatigued right now. So this was like, oh boy, all right, more superheroes.
But
here we go.
You didn't know about, did you know about the show before?
Not at all.
And that's why I meant the rock thing. Not that you don't look like anything, but
oh no, I mean in that, like, I didn't know the content of the show. I knew about it because people had been clamoring about it for a very long time. I had friends that had like read the series from before, but again, superhero stuff isn't my cup of tea, so I wasn't looking for it. So I was planning to watch like an episode a day and kind of, work my way through it. I had given myself just enough days leading up to today's episode to like watch an episode, digest it, watch an episode, digest it. And then I slipped through 7 episodes in a night and was up until like 2 and was like, oh no, it's good.
Oh no. You realize that after the 7th episode, when really it happened probably around middle of the first one, where you were like, oh shit.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. This is the kind of superhero storytelling I enjoy, but also I don't enjoy, because of the
violence.
Well,
what are you talking about? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well,
spoilers.
But it does explain itself, and I wasn't a fan of it, but then as it goes on to explain why and how, you're like, oh, okay, I understand this. So it's like not just I'm the big bad in this world and I do bad things. It is, it has a cause. So that's as vague as I'm going to go, so I don't spoil anything.
I was going to say, listeners, it's also good to know, if you're watching the video version, that Kaylin's wearing a Saitama shirt.
I am. I chose this specifically.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, and like that's why I think we haven't done it on the show yet, because it is like the Deadpool for anime. Like it's a satire on superheroes as well as anime at the same time. So like everything that you talk about that I think you don't like about superhero genre happens in One Punch Man, but they subvert it here on Invincible.
Yeah. So. And it took me a little while because the animation can be a little stilted at times. But the performances melt that away. Just, you don't even recognize it after a little while because like the acting is so good. You're just like, I don't care. I don't care. Don't matter if it doesn't have a million, different frames moving at every possible second. It's not what this is about. So it's great.
For me, I wasn't aware of this show except for an ad that Tom sent me a few months back, and the list of the cast just popping up during the ad, and I was like, okay.
Jesus.
And so yeah, when they have that list at the end, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Just name board.
So I had a feeling just from the hums around the internet that I would like the show, and I was 100% correct in that. I think I watched the entire series in 2 days, just because work got to me at the beginning of the week. So by the end of the week, Wednesday and Thursday, I was just like, here we go. And I would watch 4 a night, and it was awesome. That was a great way to do it for me. Super bingeable. This is like, for me, this show is the definition of like Sum 41's album, All Killer, No Filler. Like this is every single, there was not a scene where I was like, I can't wait till we get out of here so we can get back to the real stuff. Had me on the edge of my seat a lot. The writing was really well done. And I really loved the animation in this for a couple different reasons. It felt like a blend of Bruce Timm and his classic like Justice League or Batman animated mixed with anime, but it also had like really high
animation
quality
or art style.
Art style.
Okay,
And both. Well, both for me, because they also had rotoscoping in this, which if you look really closely at some of the people moving, it's a really old technique essentially where you animate over someone. Like mocap is the new rotoscoping, but it's used a lot in animation. And some of those skylines, like I couldn't believe weren't real. These cityscapes, like I was like, did they just take a picture and like animate over the picture of the city? Because this looks fantastic. And I'll get a little more into that later. But having this kind of show with such a large cast and still having every character fully realized to me is very impressive. So I'm excited to talk about this.
Joshy Josh.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, when this was first announced, I wasn't about it. I was just kind of, so I read the comics.
Because you liked the book.
I read the comics, and it ended around like 2017, 2018. And in 2018, it was announced that Amazon had picked it up for a series, and I was like, okay. But I've been paying attention to it and seeing the cast list and all that kind of stuff. And so I actually like started watching it out of like curiosity. Like we hadn't put it on the schedule yet. It was almost like the cast. For me, the cast is, when I saw the cast list, I was like, oh damn. Okay.
And you're a Walking Dead boy.
Yeah. And so I started watching it, and it's like my workout show. Like I'll get on the elliptical and I'll do the elliptical for an episode. And it's really good to have something that's really good, because you forget that what you're doing, and you just kind of commit
not fun.
to you commit to the show, and you're exercising at the same time. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. This show like is so good. Like, and as a comic book person, it felt like there was just so many times that there was so much joy, because there would be frames on the TV that would be just like frame accurate to what had happened in the comic. And you're like, oh, and they changed things that were appropriate to be changed. Like I just want to bring this up real quick. Robert Kirkman talked about the changes that they made in the show, how appropriate they were for modern day, because when this comic book first came out in like 2002, it was a comic book of its time. Diversity wasn't even on their minds. And now it's like, okay, this character needs to change. This character needs more to it. And it was like, it's really cool of what they did change. It didn't feel like, oh, I want this was such a great.
It was a good adaptation.
It was a great adaptation that I was just like, yes, this is yes. So much yes. And I watched it twice because Bonnie and I ran out of things to watch. So I was like, you want to check this out? You want to check this? And we watched it again. And like we were talking about with spoilers, like you just can't mention it. Bonnie would be like, but why? Why is he doing, what about that? Like, you have to watch. You have to watch. So.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's the spoiler-free section of our show. So if you don't want any spoilers, get the hell out of here. Go watch it and come back.
Well, we still got production and
yeah, but I feel like within casts and stuff like that, playing who is
I won't say who plays who, but you know.
Okay,
We might. But yeah, everyone. This is
Yes,
this
Daddy.
is the
this is where it
tipping
gets
toe.
iffy because we're also going to
Spoiler-ish.
do the brief synopsis, which
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. So,
You know.
Yeah, we'll
brief
see.
who's doing the brief synopsis? You, Corey?
Me,
Go ahead, please.
if it loads,
Okay.
stand
by, everyone. This is live.
it won't load. It keeps
Okay,
loading
Tom,
me.
you want to do production real quick?
Nope. Here we go. It just
All
kept
right.
loading me into IMDb because I spent a lot of time on it during the show. So when you type Invincible into my phone, it just goes, "Oh, you mean the IMDb you spent 4 hours on the other day?" Yes.
Nope.
Yes. That's the one. Brief synopsis: 17-year-old Mark Grayson is just like every guy his age, except that his father is Omni-Man, the most powerful superhero on the planet. As Mark develops powers of his own, he discovers his father's legacy may not be as heroic as it seems. Bum bum bum.
So I just all right, and then so the production. Okay, also everyone listen on the audio end and the video end. I'm going to be completely sorry if I mess up anyone's names or if I have to go through it very quickly, because there is a shit ton of people on this
100
on this
million
show.
people worked on this show.
Yes, 100 million episodes more. So the studio
All Rick and Morty.
is Amazon Prime Video, who has given us such shows like Jack Ryan, The Boys, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel,
Maisel.
the show, and the showrunners. Now, this is broken down by creators, producers, and directors. Now that's why I'm like, this is wild. Okay, and I'm not going to try to do every single person's credit because we'll be here forever. So created by Robert Kirkman, such thing as Fear the Walking Dead, and Ryan Otley, and who's only had a credit of special thanks for Paul, and Corey Walker for the Invincible motion comics in 2008. The producers, Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, of course, from any type of Amazon Prime thing. Maud Lewis, David Alpert, and Simon Rachopa. I was like, how do I pronounce this name? Because I had to watch like a video for that. And Catherine Winder. Episodes directed by Jeff Allen, who's done such works on Shaolin Showdown, Ultimate Spider-Man, and then an episode directed by Robert Valley, who's done the Gorillaz music videos and Tron Uprising. Now the writers, Robert Kirkman, as before, and Simon Rachopa, from the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and Chris Black from Star Trek Enterprise, Ryan Ridley from Rick and Morty, Christine Lavoff from The Fringe, and Curtis Gwynn from The Man Show. Now the cast: Stephen Yeun from Minari, Okja, and The Walking Dead, Sandra Oh from The Killing Eve, Sideways, and Grey's Anatomy, J.K. Simmons from Spider-Man, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Zazie Beetz from Deadpool and Atlanta, Gray Griffin from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Car Serum the series. And Kevin Michael Richardson from Mortal Kombat. He was the original Goro.
Oh.
And Young Justice.
Makes sense.
Walton Goggins from Justified, The
Walton.
Shield. Gillian Jacobs from Community. Choke. Yes.
She's in Choke. That's right.
I had to do both of yours, Community and Choke. Andrew
Chuck
Reynolds from A Simple Favor, The Intern. Chris Diamantopoulos from Skylanders Academy, The Three Stooges. Zachary Quinto from Star Trek Into Darkness and Heroes. Jason Mantzoukas from The Dictator and the Lego Batman movie. Carrie Payton from Teen Titans and The Walking Dead. And this is different name for different things. She's gone by Elizabeth Melise Zhao or Malaise Zhao. So from Unfabulous and Shannara Chronicles. Its release date was March 25th, 2021. Episodes are 8 so far in the first season. Right now we only have 1 season, but confirmed for 3 for now. And its runtime is 42 minutes to 49 minutes per episode. The budget's unlisted, but if we're going off of the idea that The Simpsons is the most expensive TV show in animation right now, which is about $5 million to $7 million an episode, it's probably under 5. The Rotten Tomatoes score right now is 96% critics and 91% audience. And there's
My
not
light
a
just
list.
fell down. I'm
good
sorry
job.
about that.
I just
Good
wanted
job,
to
Corey.
say another fun fact. Like Chris Diamantopoulos, he's also been the voice of Mickey Mouse for a while, which is kind of funny. But I've also realized something. I am totally a Robert Kirkman shill. I've realized.
It's totally fine. It's totally cool.
Because he has another series called Oblivion Song that I started reading recently, and I was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah, I think it's called Robert Kirkman's Oblivion Song.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not
like
even
just Oblivion Song.
when I started reading it, and I don't pay too much attention to that when I start reading something yet, and once I get into it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm a Kirkman shill.
That's okay.
And also that cast list wasn't even like half.
Yeah.
There was like a whole bunch more that
A lot of cameos for smaller things and
or one episode characters. Yeah. So now we'll go into full spoiler
spoilers.
full country, and we'll talk about our favorite parts, our favorite characters, our qualms, and then finally no rating.
Well,
okay. And
we'll start
no
it off
rating.
by the thing I think we all like because we all referenced it so far is that every time the title card pops up.
Oh man.
So it's
My
funny
name's-
because I have like a bit of like I think it's a little kitschy. It's a little like, oh my god, is he really going to be invincible? Right? Like it shows up. So it's cheesy, but to me, I loved
rather
that every
optimistic.
episode. I love that every episode there was more blood. I was like, delicious.
Yeah.
So
And then that final
delicious.
one.
that would be a Tom thing.
The thing is, like, I'm with you, Caitlin. I don't like gratuitous amounts of blood for kind of no reason. But to me, that just kind of like, how are you changing the meaning of your title? And it's like, he is invincible, but like, at what cost? And at how much blood will he lose in order? And so, like, I liked that. I liked that.
Yeah.
Like, it grew. It's kind of like seeing Christopher Nolan's Batman films, and all their title screens are different.
I mean,
I'm like, oh, it's changing.
Yeah, I was thinking about like the violence because I've said in previous shows for different things of like, oh, that was gratuitous and whatnot or whatever. For this, it wasn't gratuitous because it added to the. I mean, just even in the last episode, I'll just discuss this. It's the last episode. The whole final battle is some of my favorite stuff.
The subway.
The subway,
man.
because it answers kind of one of those age-old questions like, what if Superman popped off? Like, what if he just had a really bad day and the amount of damage to human life that he could do?
Now you're thinking like Batman.
And to your point, like, I think Goldberg and Rogan are kind of becoming this like, you should really not look forward to the day that superhumans walk among us.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching on Twitter, and it was like really funny. They're like, if the Avengers existed, we'd all hate them for sure. Like, you're like, yay, they're saving us, but you just jumped off my car and it's destroyed. Like, who's paying for that? You know, like, I turned in this like claim to Tony Stark, and you haven't heard back yet.
That's how you
Like,
get Vulture.
Yeah, and that like that's the thing where like to your point,
That's why
Josh,
I liked that
like,
character.
I don't like, I know that certain people will have different levels of enjoyment that will kind of diminish based on how much blood and all that stuff. But like that, along with the boys of like, what happens when a person who's running at super speed runs through somebody?
A whale. Oh,
You
yeah.
know? And it's just like, yeah, like you don't like, and to me, that's kind of the thing where it's like, superhero. And it's like, no, this is fucking real, man. Like, this shit sucks. Like, you gotta be really fucking careful with your powers, or else you kill people.
I'm gonna echo my. I was talking with my buddy Tasty D Money, Dustin.
Your
Shout
best
out.
friend.
And we agreed. I was like, I've never watched a show that made me say out loud, "Oh fuck," so many times. I am on the other side of the fence with violence in media. Like, I've been reading Chuck Palahniuk since I was 15 years old. So like, I'm a little, and playing video games my whole life, I'm a little more separating the media from it. It doesn't bug me. It doesn't bother me is what I'm trying to say. Real life shit all the time. I can't even watch a cat get a little hurt. Even if it's like fighting another cat and they're like, oh, look how funny these cats are wrestling. I'm like, I don't want to see this shit. It hurts
for me,
my feelings.
I'm like kind of like, I guess, tangent of it, or like I'm whatever. I'm side it because it's like I've seen a lot of Dragon Ball Z and a lot of anime, and a lot of shonen stuff, right? And destruction and loss of life is like a real thing. And to me, like, I just kind of like that consequence is always there. Like, Goku is always like, hey, let's fight over here. And it's like, because I don't want people to get hurt. And so like, he does know that like, if they were, everyone would die. And I think there's a little bit of a weird sense, I think, that the modern audience nowadays find of like, yeah, I want the fantastical, but without the consequence. And then like when we see the consequence, they're like,
which is the opposite. Like the reason I can't even watch skateboarding videos on fear that someone might break something.
I've seen so many fail videos, and
it's the reason I don't watch UFC. I didn't even watch sports, and then the one time I watched basketball, this guy broke his leg. So like, I can't handle it in the real world.
Like the worst possible way too, I think.
Yeah, he did a jump shot. It was awful. So, but when it comes to like media like this, I was actually looking forward to that kind of stuff because, like you said, we get this like candied version with the MCU, which is totally great, which I think we need to balance it out. Obviously, if everything was this destructive all the time, we would want the opposite. But with stuff like The Boys and Invincible and Preacher, I don't know if you've watched Preacher at all, but like it's the kind of stuff where I'm like, yeah, what would happen? What would happen if the Justice League got in a really big fight that they disagreed about? Like that wouldn't just be these like quick-witted words like Civil War. If that Civil War existed in this universe, it would be one guy standing at the end, and that would be the end. So like I was actually like in the first episode, I was like, oh, this feels very Young Justice-y, and then obviously the last 2 minutes of the episode is like a what the fuck is happening kind of thing, and I was like, oh, I'm here for this now. I'm here for this now.
And I'll have to say, like that whole ending sequence, of course, with the pilot episode, everyone's going to be talking about the end. And I think to me, like that made the pilot to me like one of the best pilots. I think
I agree.
Some people are going to have some grievances of like, and I've talked to some people who are like, Mark just out of nowhere exhibits super strength out of nowhere. I'm like, whatever, dude. People fly. I don't care. Like, I get it. Like, in your criticism,
but they set it up. They set it up to be that
he's been waiting for his powers, but it's not like a gradual growth. And I'm like, sure. But to me, the end made it so important because. And again, I feel like I have to say this, and I feel like I shouldn't have to, but now I have to. That pilot episode should show you the runner. It should show you what are you watching the show for, and not being like, well, the promise is you're going to see a lot of violence. And it's like the fucking runner of the show is like, why did Omni-Man kill those people? And you're like, now the entire time it's Corey, I think, talked about an episode with Alfred Hitchcock. Conversation is boring. Bomb underneath them is interesting. Now they're like, oh my God, why is there a bomb underneath them?
Yeah, so like Inglourious Bastards, the conversation about fucking milk sucks. That's a boring conversation.
But the fact that Jewish people are hiding underneath the floorboards,
yes,
is exciting.
Terrifying, and you're listening and hanging on every word. So yeah, exactly. Like even the moments when Omni-Man's with his wife and they're just talking about traveling, you're like, but is he gonna kill her in a second? Like, is that what's gonna happen?
Caitlin, favorite parts?
I like the breadcrumbs that they gave for Omni-Man, where someone would die or something bad would happen, and Debbie would be like, hello, this thing just happened. Can we wait like 5 minutes? And he's like, yeah,
no, it's their job.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, let him earn his paycheck.
This is so
let Cecil earn his paycheck. Yeah. Or calling her a drunk, oh, she's drunk. Remember at the party?
Oh God. Oh my God. The
gaslighting is real. But I'll say,
so
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons is so good as Omni-Man.
Now we know why he was getting so buff for Justice League. It was actually so he could play Omni-Man in real life.
Yeah. When he goes, one of my favorite Omni-Man just line, and it's short, is when he goes, "You wouldn't dare." Mm-hmm. And when they're about to blast him, and you're just like, in that moment, you just go,
"Oh, where they're the hammer?"
Yeah, you're just like, "Oh no!" It's like when you watch something, and you're like, "Oh, they have really messed with the wrong person."
For me, it was when Immortal came back, and he went, "You should have stayed dead." I was like, "Oh fuck,
motherfucker's always trying
Immortal's gonna lose this fight. Immortal's gonna lose this fight right here."
But I think,
and then the chop.
There's something wrong with me when like now
I already know
all I want is just J.K. Simmons unleashed. Like I just want him to like perform like
just watch Whiplash, man.
You just watch Whiplash. Don't tell me.
I finally did, Tom.
Oh my God. Anyways, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, it's that stuff where I'm like, ever since that happened, I got broken as a human being, and I'm like, I just want to see J.K. Simmons just go batshit angry at somebody. And like, I would say like one of the saddest moments, but I think it was like really good performance, was just when he's beating the shit out of Mark. And right at the end, and he's just like, "What'd you make me do?" And he's just like, he's so conflicted and he doesn't know what to do. And I'm just like,
after 500 years, what do you have?
Yeah,
still have you, Dad.
But yeah, he has such this nihilistic point of view, but it's kind of like it makes sense for their thing, and that's kind of like the weird subversion that happens. It makes the audience being like, I get it, but also you're allowing yourself to detach from humanity. And so that's why it's just like, oh, but then so Mark comes in with that line, I'll have you. It's just like, yeah, that's what matters. It's like, is having someone else.
And the scene with Debbie basically explaining why like living in the now was important. And like the little we just playing
or the baseball
league.
Game.
Yeah. And he actually gets excited for him.
That was so
ball.
Anime.
I know, it's so good.
It confused me a little bit. Like, don't you think she would have noticed that her husband hasn't aged in 18, 20 years?
Yeah, but it's a Viltrumite, so she don't care. She's just happy.
I mean, she knows that he's
fair.
He's an alien.
That's fair. But no one else noticed?
Well, he was like a book writer, so he's probably like away, so people don't see him.
I just thought that was funny. I was like, the older we get, the slower we age. I was like, yeah, he hasn't aged in forever. If you look about when they met to when Mark is to now, you're like, oh.
Something that like really tipped off for me is when he went to the
other dimension planet,
the alien. I forget what their names are, but the alien race that kept invading. Yeah. So he went back and did the whole like, Earth isn't yours to invade.
Committed genocide.
Basically.
Yeah, when he committed genocide.
When he committed genocide, and then he comes back and just has a beard. I was like, no. If we're gonna reverse things, shouldn't that have done something to you? And all he got was like a beard.
Not when he's Viltrumite.
Cool, I gotta go shave. I'll BRB.
Yeah.
I've been there for thousands of years.
If he can shave, geez, like
he probably
nuclear bomb didn't mess with his hair at all.
You probably scratch it off.
$450 million for the world's most expensive nosebleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also I will say I saw again why it's always Twitter related. They were like Batman versus Omni-Man. I was like, look, if Batman versus Omni-Man, he'd be like Cecil. Like he'd just be teleporting, and he knew
that's his only tool.
Intellect would be Batman's only tool in that moment.
Yeah, and that's would it be the thing. He's like, I know I can't win. All I'm doing is buying time. And like for that reason, now we're in spoilers. Walton Goggins as Cecil.
Dude,
was so good.
First of all, when he teleports,
to me is chef's kiss always. Like,
since we're talking about that scene when he teleports out of there and half his tie is missing and it's like smoking, and I was like,
but also he like got blasted back and he barely survived. But like he was such a there's something
so
about
glad he didn't die. I'm so glad.
There's something about like the very paranoid but kind of right people who are asking the wrong questions at the right times, like him, and then Clancy Brown's character who is the demon Darkblood, which I'm just like, I want just a show of these two.
I want a show just of Dark, dude. Yes,
he's
What was the assistant's name?
Donald?
Cecil's assistant,
Bobby Hill.
Donald.
It's Bobby Hill.
Bobby Hill all grown up.
Yeah.
That's who it was. It's Bobby
him.
Hill.
Oh, when he grabs
I
his
just
spine.
yeah. And then the whole
with
thing blows the fuck up, and he just lets go of a couple of crumbles of spine.
But I mean, go ahead. I think
I was just gonna say Donald after they send Darkblood to hell, and he goes, "Huh." He's like, "Now you care about the demon."
That would have been a before this.
I thought you were
kind
an
of
atheist.
feeling.
He probably always did, but he follows Cecil blindly.
Yeah.
Darkblood was a nice touch. I mean, that moment when he goes in the kitchen and then he breathes out, Omni-Man breathes out and he sees the frost, and you're like, damn it, he knows. He fucking knows.
There's so many good things. I'll say also real quick, Atomic Eve is.
I was just about to say Eve going around the world,
Eve?
making the world better. Like I realized Eve could potentially beat Omni-Man.
I'm gonna let Josh hold his mouth because I know what happens
in the
future. Let's just say it that way, but I'm not gonna say anything. And anyways, she atom manipulation was just like she can literally manipulate anything in the world, and yet like one of her the toughest thing that she kind of had to do is like stop living under her parents' expectations.
Dad being.
But then I really liked how she was just like,
she loved her mom though.
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, her mom actually cared. But I just like that she was like, I'm gonna do my own thing and go save the world. But then like I like that she's a mentor character to Mark. But also, I think one of the
sweet Lost Boys hangout from Hook too, which is
I think one of the best things that they did was that Mark was like he's not like Aang, and he's not like a typical protagonist hero where he's pretty dumb. And like
he's a combination of Aang, Sokka, and Zuko all in one.
Father.
He wants the father stuff. He's kind of a dumbass, but he's also really powerful.
Yeah, and his heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
So, when Eve, like, just how cool of a character. When they meet up again in like the 7th episode, and she goes, "Oh, I'm helping you today."
Yeah,
it's like because that's what she
Dana
does.
and I
she
laughed
goes and helps.
really hard at that because in our episode 7 of PAs, my line is literally, "Is that what we're doing today? We're helping Neil."
I
was like, "Hey, where's my residuals?"
One overarching thing that I love about this show, and I have to talk about it, is the sound.
Mm-hmm.
The sound design and the mixing of the show, the music. I love, like, for instance, when Caitlin was talking about when Omni-man gets transported into that dimension. I mean, it's basically a music video, but he's destroying this planet to like a rock song, and I loved it.
And also at the very end too, when they're like, "What's next?" and they show the rock music and they have the montage.
But the sound design and mixing, it's very rare that. So oftentimes, pretty much for everything, it's required that a piece of media has a 5.1 mix. It's just required so that they can say it has 5.1. But oftentimes you don't really, it doesn't get used. It's just kind of like, oh, the sound's all around me. This show used it, and I loved the way that they, especially like mixed voices, like they would pan voices. Like if they were on the left side of the screen, it would be on the left side of the sound field. Like I was using my, because I was working out, I was using the Mobius. And
hey, shout out.
It would be cool to center it, so I had the TV in front of me, and then I would hear, if they are on the left side of the screen, they would be on the left side. And as they were moving, like there's one scene in which Omni-man is talking to Mark, I think in the 7th episode, and he's floating and he's slowly moving across the screen, and his voice is slowly moving across the sound field.
Whoa.
And I was like, it's very rare that I experience that in something where they're actually using the panscape, but also Machine Head's voice.
The auto-tune?
The auto-tune, like, I was like, you go, guys. You
Shout out, I used to watch Burn Notice all the time.
Yeah.
I loved that show. I was like 15, but I still was like, Burn Notice. This is my
But
identity.
I love that they didn't use it all the time. It was just at certain points in his register that it would hit.
Yeah. It's like they put like a limiter on it when they were like, when he hits this note, we're going to bring that back down.
Yeah.
It was really cool. That his design was really awesome. And obviously Titan Mahershala Ali. Like,
that episode.
Excited for that. Another one of my favorite parts, though, and I know that some people I've read could do without. I loved the Amber and Mark relationship. I really dug that she knew who he was like weeks in, and was like, that still doesn't give you permission to treat me like shit or keep me in the dark or, decide that you don't trust me enough to tell you after everything I've done for you. So, you can go. You can fucking go. And I loved that subversion. Like, I really was expecting that whole, like, I'm going to tell her who I am and
everything's
she's going to
be
go.
Okay.
It all makes sense now. But no, she was like, no.
Fly away,
You're still
boy.
a piece of shit. You're just a piece of shit in a costume now.
Feel like that was mandatory, actually. Like,
I'm not saying, either way.
Well,
it's still a subversion that I enjoyed.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's a perfect parallel of Debbie and Omni-man. Like, if he was honest about what he was about, like, maybe, I don't know, like, things could have been different, or
Well, even at the end, she still said, like, even Debbie was like, I know what he did, but I still wish he was
want
back.
him to come back. Yeah. So, like, and even when Mark comes back from the fight and Amber still comes to him and is, still loves him and wants to try again. But, like, I feel like you almost need that parallel a little bit for the storyline to explain, like,
well, also
there would have been options for things to go differently.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, Adam Eve even calls it out. She was like, yeah, I told you to make sure you trust her, not string her along for 6 fucking months. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, because then at the end you have the revelation of the relationship with Omni-Man and his wife. But like, yeah, that scene when it plays out in the series, I just thought it was really well done.
I think it to your point, Corey, like, yeah, it does really well of like, I think the significant other that doesn't know the secret identity is such like a tired old trick now that it's like you have to kind of assume your audiences are smarter. But I'm sorry, Josh was going to say that?
I was just going to say, I thought of you, Tom, in one particular scene. Invincible and Eve are flying in, and Rex is like, "Well, where did you guys come from?" "Well, we go to the same high school," and he goes, "Must be nice."
I thought of you too.
And he was like, "And you know who didn't go to high school? Me." And like, we can tell.
College. Jason Mantzoukas is one of my favorite comedic actors of all time. So to have him in the show was just a treat for me.
That character is a douchebag, but I did like that whole development of the new Guardians of the Globe. I really did like, okay, cool, we have to have this new team and fucking robot. Like to Corey's point where he's like, there's not there. Excuse me.
Rudy, you mean?
Yeah, Rudy. He's a robot to me. He's a robot. But and I mean, I don't know. The voice actor might be because they changed the voice actor when he went from it was Zachary Quinto to Rudy. But which I was like, that's Zachary Quinto. And
good.
I think it's Mark Marquardt, who's like an amazing impressionist, and he played Red Skull in Infinity War.
Oh, okay, cool.
Plays Immortal and Rudy.
I just loved that whole line where it was just like, oh wow, like to me, I like that robot again was a little duplicitous and like you don't know what he's doing, but also like he's his heart's in the right place, and then we find out, oh, he is a human and all this shit, and you're like, oh my god, like all the clone thing, and then also them explaining like, oh yeah, you never tell with the clone who's a clone because then there's gonna be a paradox between you two, and you're always gonna want to kill each other, and like I just like. That is literally the entire precipice of the Clone Saga for Spider-Man, which everyone hated.
I thought you were going to talk about the Schwarzenegger film with the
Sixth Day.
Yeah, I just always think of this because in the movie they can tell if they're a clone. They have little dots in their eyes to tell you which one you are.
But no, yeah, I loved all of that stuff, and that was when Corey was talking about like, there's not a scene that was like, I'll get on with this scene so I get back to the other scene. I was like, like every time I was like, oh, what's gonna happen with Mark and his dad? I'm like, but what's gonna happen?
They're all fully realized characters. They're not like half baked. Like, oh, even his friend William, who's only in a handful of scenes, is still like, I loved William. I thought he was great.
I love their.
I thought he was so funny.
They're back and forth the car breakup scene, but it's one-off things. Like I love when they're trying to get his room all together, and Mark goes, well, maybe Amber likes comics too. Ever thought of that, you dick?
Oh yeah, there's a scene in the car too where he's like talking. He's like, you're like one of those guys in that samurai movie who's been cut in half but doesn't know he's cut in half till his top half and he holds up the burger.
Burger slides off.
I was like, oh. And then he's just like, I love you, William, but I gotta talk to someone else.
She's like, okay, bye.
But I really liked how like the Guardians of the Globe, their development at the very end when like Jason Mantzoukas, I forget the character name, but
Explode.
Yeah, he starts wiping off the thing, and then Carrie Payton is just like, no. And then all of a sudden, like, they're about to fight, and the whole team comes in, and he's like, now we look like a team. I was like, oh! It's it's that good moment where it's like, yeah, we're willing to fight for each other. I'm like, oh, fuck.
There it is. There it is.
You know? It was like, that to me, I was like, yes. Like, for such a C plot line, it was such so good. I was like,
well, and even like when he got his powers back, Samson, like, that was so cool, because like I really was expecting him to just be like, he died, it was sad, and then he was like, you get your powers back.
But like that whole fight scene right there with the fucking Battle Beast, I was like, dude, just wiping the floor.
Tom.
I was gonna say, it's a Leonin.
It's my D&D character is a 7 foot tall all white lion.
I was
like, wow.
Battle Beast showing up like this, I was just like, there's things in the future, not going to say, but Battle Beast is a badass. Like,
I don't doubt it.
No, we could tell. We could tell.
What gave you that idea?
The future.
When he was like, I was promised battle, and then he leaves like, there's no honor in squashing insects, and just pieces out. You're like, look, you already killed me. Like, you don't have to rub it in my face too.
He does.
Jeez.
Jeez,
man.
I did like a lot of the exposition-y, like learning how to use your powers, like how like he doesn't have to push off anything in order to fly. He could change his direction.
And he can create his own momentum behind a punch, which is like,
but also it's like,
really
what
cool.
about breathing? That's the fun thing. You don't have to. Like, and so I really like the episode where he goes to Mars and like he has the sandwich and he's gone for 2 weeks and he's just there and like he also causes a terrible takeover. But I was just like,
he failed that mission big time.
So bad, and he doesn't know it yet.
I just like those kind of like, I guess, bodily episodes in that sense where it's like, yeah, this happens. And it's just like what a superhero would do on a normal mission. It's like,
I want to see more Martians. I mean, when he came back and he's like, I'm just gonna take this. If that's no hard feelings.
Yeah.
All right. And they didn't shoot him. They were like, yeah, I guess they're already gone. So it's whatever. I want to see more Martians in this. I also got to give a shout out. I mean, we've been talking about her a couple times, but Sandra Oh as Debbie.
Oh,
like,
man.
Wow. Way to like I did not see her coming along to steal the show as hard as she did. But she did for me. Like Debbie was like, I was all invested in that. And that scene at the end where he's like, Mark Hamill, shout out, as the costumer.
Of course,
like,
that's Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
Why didn't I realize that sooner?
I only have the one cup. She's like, I don't fucking care. Just pour. And I was like, oh, dude, you said Sideways as one of her credits, and I love that movie. Josh is nodding along. I'm assuming he also.
She's amazing. Like Killing Eve. She's one of the mains, and she's just.
I think she got the Emmy for that show.
She's fantastic in this. I mean, I have to give credit obviously to the writers too for writing Debbie in the way they did.
Yeah, they made her part bigger, which is nice.
Man. And her relationship with Mark is so sweet, but also heartbreaking. I had that moment with my mom recently, a year ago, where she was just talking. She was like, yeah, like we were talking about having kids and what it's like. And she was like, with you, it's interesting because when your kids are young, you have this best friend and then they kind of change to their next phase in life, right? You have your 2-year-old best friend with you and then suddenly they're 5 and they want to do different things and you never really get to say goodbye to that best friend you had. And you're like, okay, well now they're 5 and now they're 10 and they want to go play with friends and then they're 15 and then, they move out and it's just this really surreal thing of where like you don't get to have that closure of like, oh, that person's gone now, they're now this person. And they had that scene where she's like, we used to talk about everything and now we don't talk at all. And I thought of my mom in that. And so I think I'm a little biased towards that character, but I thought she was wonderful.
Mom stuff.
Yeah, mom stuff. Corey's got dad and mom stuff.
I mean, she also like taught an invader essentially who she basically converted the first Viltrumite to abandon his post.
Yeah,
she is like human. Earth's greatest protector.
Yeah.
Essentially. She doesn't have powers. She sells houses, which is a power into itself. I understand. But
Today's
like,
market,
I like
definitely.
being busy with work stuff. I was like, damn, yes.
Yeah. And like that she's finding like clues from a demon in her house and like
and
giving
how
her son
heartbreaking
pep talks and just she's badass.
when he says, I love her like a pet. I was like,
oh,
yo. And then she handles it though. She takes it all. She's like, yeah, I heard everything.
yeah.
It is what it is, but I have my son. And that moment with Cecil at the end was so good, where she snaps at him and then she's like, I'm sorry, it's just a lot. And he's like, hey, look, I caused a lot of it, so I apologize. He was right here the whole time. If I can't make it as good as I can, then.
And that's kind of the cool thing that the season offered was that you got to see everyone's cards slowly more and more through the season. So like Cecil had like, you like at first you think he's like this asshole.
Yeah, I thought he was a conniving piece of shit.
And then later on, you realize how bleeding heart he is for everyone, and how he feels bad. And he's like, "Mark, let's just get you back."
He's an asshole because he cares sometimes.
Yep. The light thing too in the tap water.
Oh man,
lights on. Oh shit. Anyway, it's in the tap water. You can't see this frequency of light. I was like, God damn.
I mean, there's a lot about this season, but the last like favorite part that I'll say is it's just like an offhand scene. But I love the dad teaching son thing, and when they've got the guy hanging in the sky, and he's like, you got to show him like to be scared and all that kind of stuff, and he drops him, and Mark's like, you're gonna catch him, right? But there's space. I love the space, and he's like, in a second, the guy's just falling.
Yeah. I wanted to ask a quick question, and maybe I just missed it, or maybe it's a future comic thing, and if it's a future comic thing, just be like, no spoilers. The stones that they're experimenting on in that room. Do we know what those are? The lights on room.
No,
They're
not
like
yet.
there's these crystals that they're like shooting beams at. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything with those. I have my assumptions and my theories.
I mean,
Well, it's the hottest thing on this planet. That's what I said to my prom date.
I mean,
Sorry.
I mean,
but
that's one of the cool things about the finale is like, because they gave you like little hints of things throughout the season of like, oh, but what about that? But I love that the season is like, but wait, there's more. And we get this montage of like, oh, there's the people in the middle of the earth. There's the what's happening in Mars and all of this stuff. Like,
Yes.
Urath, like,
Urath.
And
I
also-
love that Seth
Seth
Rogen
Rogen,
character. by the
yeah.
way.
Oh my god, he was great. And I also love that at the very end that they had the switching of like, take a
rock
seat,
thing?
buddy,
Yeah.
I'll explain.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then at the very end, they show you all these snippets of like, oh, this crazy thing happened. This crazy thing happened. All these crazy things are happening. He's like, I'm going to finish high school.
yeah.
I guess.
I do really love
Cool,
that
man.
Cecil.
What's high school?
I do really love that Cecil enlisted that crazy asshole guy to make those robot dudes.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
my
they-
god.
was wild
The
as
zombie
hell.
super soldiers.
Yeah, they whooped ass. Josh is putting up the picture of the last
I mean,
frame
that's
that you saw.
season 1 is
Urath.
essentially
Streamlined
streamlined
and updated.
updated of 1 through 13. Like the
Oh,
last
wow.
cell of 13 is, I guess I'll finish high school.
Yeah.
So it's as a comic book fan, this whole season was just like so many times where I was like, ooh,
Pretty rewarding.
yeah. It was like, I mean, the things that they updated, like Amber, like Debbie, changing Shrinking Ray to a female, all these different things. It's like, it all makes sense. Like it's just, it all is, it's just so perfect for modern day.
Mhm.
Like there's, it's quite wonderful.
Good job, Invincible. You did good. Good job.
You did the thing.
Let's do favorite characters.
Mhm.
Yes.
We'll do 2. And one has to not be the titular character. If it's not, then that's fine. But just 2 characters. Who wants to go first?
I will. I said Debbie and Cecil as my 2 favorite characters in the show.
And
Okay.
you wait, you're saying not the
One
not
of them has
Invincible?
to not be. So you have to pick a character that's not the main character.
Not Invincible.
Oh.
And then I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
So
it's
I did
okay.
Debbie and Cecil were mine.
So I'll repeat myself and say that one of them doesn't have to be. And then if they're both not, then that's fine.
Mine are Debbie and Omni-man.
There it
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad.
is.
That's a
From,
little bit of a dick though.
Oh, for sure. Super dick.
yeah.
Kind of literally.
Dick, da-da,
but-
super dick.
I think it's probably going to be Mark, and I like Robot.
Dude, Steven Yeun.
I think those are
He
my
was
2.
really good. Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
man,
I
it's so good.
yeah. Steve Unisance is
The
happening.
Unisance.
You know, I think he's there. So, Josh?
Definitely Cecil. And I gotta just shout out Omni-Man. I just the sheer ferocity and just,
He's terrifying.
I mean the so be it. Oh, it hurts. Like
Teach
just
you a lesson.
His writing was phenomenal.
I mean,
So
J.K.
good.
Simmons is just, I don't know if I've ever seen something where he was doing the voiceover.
Yeah, you have.
I have.
Legend of Korra.
There we go. I'm just
It's
kidding.
Tenzin.
I lie on this
He's
show.
everywhere.
And also,
does a
you've
lot.
seen some M&M commercials.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he's the yellow M&M.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
yeah, but something
That's-
like this, I was just like,
I think farmers
Could
had
you
an animated
imagine the yellow
commercial.
M&M beating the shit out of the red one?
he really comes from the yellow M&M planet, and he's here to take
No,
over.
I'm nuts.
Not that we want that. Billy West is a friend of the show. Shout out. We don't want that.
No,
Anyway.
animated. I want it in animated form.
Got it.
And then like, but also the red M&M's like also impervious, so he's just like, ah, shit, dude. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Qualms.
Wow.
Right?
Qualms.
Kwame
We're there.
Qualms. Corey?
Who's gonna? Okay. Mine are smaller. I don't think either of these affected my score. The first one was the way they did the like mid post credit scenes threw me off every time. It felt a little jarring and disconnected.
And there weren't
that they would
always,
show like
They weren't
they would
always
show
credit scenes.
like two names, and then they would go into a scene, and then they'd do all the credits again. I think I know what they were kind of going for, but I don't think the execution landed for me. I would prefer it either after all of the credits or before all the credits, but it was weird to show like only 1 or 2 tiles of credits, and it was different like every time. And then they would start a scene and then go back into the credits again. And then they didn't have one on the 7th episode. And then this is a bit controversial, y'all.
I thought they were little.
It is little in the sense that it didn't affect my score. I don't know if the qualm itself is little. J.K. Simmons' performance was phenomenal, but I'll be damned if I didn't think of J. Jonah Jameson the entire time I was watching the show, and it took me out of it a lot.
It was J. Jonah Jameson got like a super serum?
Well, he had the same hair, the same mustache, the same voice actor. Like, I would have, and I think that's all casting. Again, not his performance was great.
I don't know. That's controversial. That just might sound hot, like a hot take.
I couldn't take it 100% seriously until like the final scene, because I was like, yo, J. Jonah Jameson killed everybody. And
he's gonna really wanted those pictures of Spider-Man.
Like, I think it and his, just where he is in his age, it just felt a little too old. Like, his voice sounded a little older than I expected Omni-Man to sound. So I was thinking more of like a Jeffrey Dean Morgan or something like that. I think could have been a better choice for me personally. But for me, JK wasn't the right casting.
For me, I think the animation isn't that great. The art style is really great. I'm like, give me more of this. I talked about it already multiple times to people outside the episode, but like, I don't really, and this isn't like to condemn all American made anime, but like the Netflix anime, like, doesn't feel, it feels like it's imitating Japanese anime. It doesn't feel like it's its own identity. And that's what it comes off of. And it's an unfortunate fact of like my own like watching of anime than watching like newer anime that comes out. Like, you could just kind of tell. And then with Invincible, like, it just was so hard in their own art style, which, one, they had a rubric off of, which is comic books. And then two, they're like, how do we, make this look like for a screen? Because you're watching it in widescreen. Comic books aren't done in widescreen. So right. Like, how do you change the art style? And the art style is just how things look. Animation, however, is like how things move. And so like, you can watch a bunch of YouTube videos talking about like how different anime are like perceived as good or bad because of how many keyframes are between each action. And it's a painstaking like process. So I never want to say like, oh, well, that team sucks, but it's just like, you could tell that it's a first season. And that's where like, I'm hoping a season 2 and 3, like, pump up that budget. I know you're Amazon to me. And that, so like, it's funny because like a Marvel show will have a $10 million episode per episode, right? So it technically isn't that much, but it's a lot for TV. That's huge for TV. The most I think ever was Game of Thrones season 8, which was $30 million per episode. So it's
till we get that Lord of the Rings show.
Till we get Lord of the Rings, which is $1 billion per season. So it's like, oh my god. Anyways, so it's just that kind of stuff where it's like, and animation, like, and you ask anyone, is always the one that get the scraps. You think like live action TV gets scraps, like animation gets scraps for their budget, but it's Amazon. It's the largest company in the planet, so it's like they probably have the money to do it, and it's a success. People were talking about it, so like, I think there's going to be room for the animation to be like fucking sexy, crispy, clean. And then the other qualm, I guess, is this is the small thing. It's a little kitschy. It's the title thing, and it's like, oh no, it's time for Invincible, and I'm like, da 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 da. I get it, and it's just fine, and it's not like a huge qualm. It's more like, nah, whatever. Like, I could do without it, but like the reason why like it's negligible for me is more like, well, they had the blood thing. That means it's going further. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just like, we're going to add the shot, all right, insert title. There you go, same bullshit. It's like, all right, now I got to put in more blood. So you got to do that one from the last episode. So it felt, like there's so much more intention behind it. So
it's like Supernatural's title is evolving with every season. It's becoming worse and worse.
Anyways, that's it. Those are my two. Caitlin, John?
Caitlin?
For me, it was I'm also on board about the animation. They had CG'd a couple of times when they just didn't have, maybe it was a budgetary thing, because they would have the animated background people, but then sometimes if, a shot would change and suddenly be CG'd people who were like running very robotically away. So it took me out of it a little bit. Not so much so that I'm like, this sucks, but it was just something that you notice and you're like, oh, they did this for that. Oh, okay. But aside from that, I don't really have any other issue.
Joshua?
Yeah, I mean, I had light qualms with some of the things that had already been mentioned, like the animation. There was only like one like scene that I was just like, really? And it's stupid, but it's when Amber comes back after he's gone through all of. It's at the end of like episode 8, and like after she just broke up with him, and I mean not just, but everything's happening.
Wasn't he
and then
there
she
for
comes
like
back,
weeks?
and it's like
da da da. Here, kiss. All is forgiven.
Yeah, all is forgiven. I'm like, no. That was only. I mean, it's not really a big deal to me. It's just kind of like I think it's kind of shitty.
The tough thing that happens with it is that because like all we saw was montage of her feeling bad at the soup kitchen, and then like Mark being like, my dad, and then like my mom is sad, and then all of a sudden like, I love you. Oh, let's make it work out. It's like you broke with them for a really hard reason, and that's why like I'm kind of in the camp of like she's right, but I think she kind of overreacted.
Yeah.
In that sense of like,
and so
Jesus, don't even give him a chance to talk.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. That's a whole discussion, but I mean, after what he's been through, he's going to be a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he knows is just wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah,
his whole life was a lie.
That's my only like suggestion of a qualm.
I'm really liking this Josh who knows what happens and being like,
grizzled veteran who's been to the
just
future.
knows. And he's like,
you guys are sweet.
Sweet child. You are in for a world of pain.
Yeah.
That's it. That's our whole episode.
It is.
We did it.
Wow.
It is. Wow. Yeah, that's right. No rating or grumpage. It's just that is the episode.
Don't worry, Josh. We'll tear it down. We'll tear it down after season 3, baby.
I mean, that's how quickly things happen in this show, but not today.
We've been renewed for episode 197.
Nice.
Josh, to your experience though, so this covers issues 1 through 13. Do you think they would get through like the book by 3 seasons? No.
Oh, you mean no, because I mean the thing with the series is that there's so many. What I loved about the series is that it worked in really great arcs, really wonderful arcs, and this is like the major like, oh holy shit arc, the first one, but
he doesn't even
so much bigger. And
he doesn't even appear in his first comic book,
huh?
Like Invincible, the character appeared in another comic book before this. He was even
it was like it was like a preview kind of thing that happened. I'm not really quite familiar with the full history of it. I got into it like 2014-ish. When it was now on, I was reading the volumes up until I was down to single issues, but there's so many things that happen, like how many things change, Omni-man's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of power. Like, I mean, if we thought he was bad, like, oh, honey. Oh, honey.
Yeah, I figured.
And they showed some of the things when he was telling his story. They showed some of the characters that you're like, they're going to show me him now?
No more. I'm not listening.
Spoilers.
Not listening.
Anyway.
Give me a thumbs up when we're good.
Anyway. Anyway,
everybody at home, thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. Let us know what you thought about Invincible. Reach out to us on our social media. Join that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. There is a TV channel. Let's continue the conversation over there. Like I said at the top, do consider joining that Nerd On Nation. It does allow us to grow, to keep going, to keep upgrading our content. I'm so excited we're going to be back in studio soon. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys are awesome. Thank you
Make
so much
this
for listening.
shower a grower.
Yeah. Share us with your friends, your family. That stuff, that's when we run this survey about once a year, and oftentimes people say, oh, a friend told me about this show. And it's really cool to hear that, and just seeing all of the interaction that we have seen lately on social media of just everybody expressing their love for us. And we really appreciate you guys for listening or watching or whatever. If you're new, check out our website. It has all of the information on everything that we do, all of the links to all of the things that we do. So check it out, nerdon.tv. But that's it. Thanks so much. Take care of yourselves. You know the drill. As always, nerd on.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.